But coming back to the MBA, is an MBA good for you? I think an MBA helps with two areas, maybe three. Number one, it helps you speak the language of business. If that's what you want, yes, it's going to give it. Is it worth the 2 years and all that study? I'm not so sure. I mean, I sold my vehicle. I had no cash, no children at this stage. But I remember selling my Land Rover that I built with my own hands, putting it together like a Meccano set, a V6, that I took to the Kruger National Park and back with my beautiful wife. We decided we're going to sell the MBA and use that money to fund the MBA. When the vehicle was bought and it drove out the driveway, I just knew the new chapter started. I had tears rolling down my eyes. One, because my baby's going. And two is that I'm about to go on a growth journey that's second to none. Is it worth it?
You're listening to The Functional Founder with Themi Sturgianus, a podcast for owner-operators ready to build high-performance teams, handle growth with confidence, and scale without burning out.
Functional Founders is doing an MBA, a master's degree in administration, good for founders or entrepreneurs. Here's my thoughts on the issue. So I went to a co-ed school. My marks were generally pretty average, if not less than average. I don't think I was the most studious learner. In fact, I had issues learning. And I had a whole mindset thing around learning. I just couldn't absorb things the way my peers did, I suppose, and articulate theory the way they did. I just couldn't do it. Just came to a dead end where I just thought studying is not for me. I had all listening for that. And it came to a stage when I reached matric. My dad still came to find out whether I'd passed or not. And he came past the school. We were all waiting for our marks after season. And we were all socializing outside waiting for our marks to get called into the principal's office to be told whether we had passed our matric or not. And I remember my dad winding his window down. He said, "And my boy, did you pass?" No, I think he had an expectation that I'd fail because I just battled to put the effort in. It just shows me where my head was. I said, I was joking. I said, "Dad, I didn't make it." And he said, "Well, son, I thought that was going to happen." And then I said, "Jokes, Dad, I did get my matric." But here's the thing, guys, is that years later, fast forward a couple of years later, I was 18 at the time. I met my beautiful wife, Ellie, and in all honesty, I think one of the most successful and best choices you could make as an entrepreneur is to marry a good woman. I don't know where this podcast is going, but I do want to share with you how important it is marrying the right person in your life or building a life together with the right person and how important that choice is. And I'm hoping that my children hear this one day because it's for them too and for the people that work for me. But when I married Ellie, we were walking in the forest somewhere and I remember us discussing our ambitions. We had two little young kids and I just realized that, I'd probably exhausted my skill set in business. And I had a lot of fear and a lot of insecurity around not being good enough, maybe because I wasn't exceptionally good as a sportsman. I wasn't good at all at studious at all. And I probably just thought, what makes me believe that I can build businesses that can grow without me or that can bring in a cash flow so that I can put food on the table for my family. Sorry, we didn't have kids at that time. It was before we had kids. And Eddie turned to me and said, "It's never too late." And I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "Well, if you want to do your MBA, it's never too late." And I don't know why those words landed me. My partner that I loved, that I believe in, she had faith in me. She saw something in me. She saw that spark and she still sees that, fortunately. And I decided to pursue my MBA. But I had challenges getting there because I didn't get good marks and I wasn't accepted at the university because I didn't have a varsity exemption. And the point about the story is quite interesting because the tenacity that I needed to have, I was so bent on getting my MBA, just to give you the background, because we're coming back to the question, is an MBA important? Is that when I put my application in which was then the most entrepreneurial MBA in the country and the most exposure to international professors and lecturers. So in other words, international lecturers. This is the one I wanted to do. I just felt that was for me. When I put my application in, I failed. They wrote me a letter saying that unfortunately I didn't make the grade because of my varsity exemption marks, which was my matric marks. I didn't stop there. I went back to the principal's office. I said, guys, I'm running, at that stage, it was 2 Debonair's pizzas, and I'm making some good cash flow, and I'm going to be growing a chain of them. And I need my MBA to help me do that. Please, I want your team, your best team that you have available, to interview me. And they got some past graduates together. They interviewed me in the boardroom. I don't know what I said. I don't know how it went down, but they absolutely loved that session and put me forward to doing my MBA, which is an whole nother discussion, which took me down 2 years of wow, like my mind exploded completely. Because what an MBA does is it basically, you fly low and fast. So you're seeing things very quickly. So you get an understanding of the landscape. And that's what the MBA has done for me, is that it gave me the confidence to be able to talk with the best minds, business minds in the world. I'll give you an example. I didn't know what EBITDA stood for. So earning before interest, tax amortization. I had to learn that. I didn't understand the participation leadership theory model. I didn't understand regression analysis in statistics. Lots of things I didn't understand. In fact, I knew nothing. Economics, the supply and demand curve, how they interact with each other. Guys, it was a mind opener, and I'm not taking away from the MBA. But did it do me good? Yes, it did, because it gave me confidence. It gave me a certain amount of knowledge to be able to speak in a boardroom setting or to be able to speak with the best of all. It helped me with my coaching so that I could see and apply, say, for instance, the Porter's 5 forces model in a company. So that helped. But I don't think that's the rub. I think I had my ladder on the wrong wall. I think an MBA can also count against you. And let me explain why I say that. I believe that I was more of a risk taker before I did my MBA than post my MBA. To give you an example, I had a good feeling when I bought my Debonair's Pizza, which is a fast food pizza delivery chain where they deliver with bow ties. I knew, I had an inclination, this business is new to my city and it's going to take off. And this business, for whatever reason, wasn't well run at the time. They were stealing, and I decided to purchase that business. I didn't have an MBA then, but I had a good hunch. I had a good understanding that this is going to work. And and if you listen to my previous podcast, I talk about creating the vacuum. My whole life has been about creating the vacuum and filling it. I talk about the LEAP 3F framework in one of my previous podcasts that's helping us grow lab work company and taking it to a different level. But I did that subconsciously because I didn't understand how to do business plans. I didn't understand the Porter's 5 forces model. I didn't understand how to do regression analysis. But I had a hunch. And sometimes I feel we overanalyze and we remove that intuition because we rely on our logical side. I see the same with tennis. We can read up a lot, we can watch a lot of YouTubes on tennis, but I find when I intuitively play, when I play from my intuitive level, I play a more consistent game of tennis. Surfing is the same thing. Try and analyze technique, doesn't work. But if I surf with my intuition and I allow my intuition to lead, which means you've got to trust your gut, guys. There's actually empirical research that came up after I did my MBA that said they found neural pathways in the gut. And those neural pathways can help you make some incredibly good decisions. Like, have you ever had that feeling where you get butterflies in your stomach when you just know it's the right decision? Or you're nervous and something's warning you. It's because your intuition's telling you because of the neural pathways. I find that so amazing. And I coach my entrepreneurs to start trusting the intuition a bit more because I've been on the other side. But coming back to the MBA, is an MBA good for you? I think an MBA helps with 2 areas, maybe 3. Number 1, it helps you speak the language of business. If that's what you want, yes, it's going to give it. Is it worth the 2 years and all that study? I'm not so sure. I mean, I sold my vehicle. I had no cash, no children at this stage. But I remember selling my Land Rover that I built with my own hands, putting it together like a Meccano set, a V6, that I took to the Kruger National Park and back with my beautiful wife. We decided we're going to sell the MBA and use that money to fund the MBA. When they brought When the vehicle was bought and it drove out the driveway, I just knew the new chapter started. I had tears rolling down my eyes. One, because my baby's going. And two is that I'm about to go on a growth journey that's second to none. Is it worth it? I think I could have learned a lot more opening up some more businesses, and I probably would have been wealthier. But the debate can't live in hindsight, can you? So that's the one area, is understanding the language. That was the most important. The second thing, and here's a quick story. When we got together to do our MBA, so all these strangers were there, A-types, big corporate leaders from De Beers Marine, some of them from Anglo, from Old Mutual, big players, big hitters, big leaders that are doing their MBA, probably because they want to be entrepreneur. And there were a small amount of entrepreneurs in there. But I think the biggest thing that we learned when we first got together on the first day was we did a teamwork session. And I was like, well, surely we're going to cover the curriculum. No. What was the first thing we did? We learned to deal with each other and understand each other's personalities, because they put you in groups and you have to deliver theses and projects in groups. And if you can't get there's dynamics in your group, you're gonna have a serious bad time doing your MBA. Seriously bad time. And believe me, we were in a group. We had our challenges, but what did it teach me? It taught me to work with people, because we had all these projects to do of many modules that we needed to cover, from HR to strategic management to accounting and to finance. And we had to deliver a project on all as a team, and sometimes solo, but mostly as a team. That was a challenge. And the way that the university spun it to us was, you need to work with your peers and figure out a way to deliver a superior project. So that was the second learning through that MBA. And the third learning, I suppose, was that besides it giving me the language and helping me to understand the dynamics of working with people, it also gave me confidence. Okay. So, and I'm not talking about false confidence. It gave me confidence in the fact that I've done one of the most challenging degrees available in business. And this guy virtually failed matric, ladies and gentlemen. What you put your mind to, you can achieve. If you are intentional about something that you want in your life, listen to me. You've probably only got one stab at it. You might as well go for it. And thank you, Ellie, my beautiful wife, who I love deeply. She pushed me at that time. She says, Temi, are you going to regret doing it? I said, yes. Well, I'll do it. And it's given me that confidence in that whatever I decide I'm going to put my mind to, I have the history to back it up that I can do it. And to all those teachers out there, I'm saying this loud and clear and in public. All you doubters that thought I couldn't do it, I did it. So imagine what it creates for a founder. That confidence allows me in business to be able to say to my team, what you put your mind to, you can achieve. So those are the three areas that I think resonated for me doing an MBA. And in conclusion, I suppose I need to ask myself, was it worth it? I have no regrets that I did it. In fact, I think I came out a great person. But as I said, one of the drawbacks would have been, or still is that it's created too much of an analytic brain. And I'm starting to understand that life isn't just about analysis paralysis. It's about being authentic and understanding and trusting yourself. In the previous podcast, we talk about trusting your team, having faith. The second F in the LEAP framework is having faith in your team. It's also about having faith in yourself. The minute we start being over-analytical with all these degrees and knowledge, we start analyzing ourselves out of risk completely. And that's a problem. I have a problem with that, because the best student in life is failure. That's the best student in life. The best student in life is a challenge, because that's what grows you. If you have the tenacity, if you can pick yourself up after you've fallen, and you have got the drive, and you've got the focus, guys, so much more is achievable. I see people wasting their lives because they're so stuck in fear. They're stuck in fear. And thank you, Ellie, for challenging me, that I left my fear behind to be able to do something that I dearly wanted to do, and that I felt like I'd never had a varsity degree, but I eventually got it at the age of 28. It was so amazing to put that varsity cap on with my degree in my hand and being handed by one of the senior lecturers or deans at the time. It was like a dream come true. So anything's achievable if you put your mind to it. Until next time, see you on the next podcast.
Thank you for joining the Functional Founder. This podcast grows through you, our founder community. Please share this with someone who needs it and click on the subscribe button. That way, more people can join us.